What's up, everybody? It's me, Tim Keys, and today I wanted to talk about the situation with Roland. They win a patent action against Alesis. So, basically, what was going on in this case was Roland had took some legal action against Alesis and specifically InMusic over the infringement of its patents. Now, this is a little bit different. Initially, I heard about this on the internet and a couple of folks in different channels on YouTube, and the impression that most people took away from it was that they thought, Roland was suing Alesis due to the use of samples, but that is not the case. Um, and I'll go into it maybe a little bit later in this video, but there's a difference between uh, copyright infringement and the infringement of a patent, what a patent covers versus what a copyright would cover. But basically, what happened was, Alesis and InMusic kind of went into it over the use of certain patents. And so Roland filed a patent infringement lawsuit against InMusic back in 2016 over some patents that were, you know, thought to be in question from the use of Alesis. And I can pull it up right here, the Strike Pro from Alesis. That was kind of the initial thing that kind of prompted this lawsuit to take place. So if you look at this kit right here, this is the Alesis Strike Pro that was released some time ago, and you see different videos and whatnot. So again, this is a drum kit, both electric and acoustic in nature. And once this got released, this is where the contention from these two companies began to take place, and Roland decided to take some action against Alesis and InMusic. Now, the reality is, four U.S. patents were called into question, and these covered specific electronic drums with mesh heads and multi-zone electronic cymbals. And this started, it's ranged from September 2000 all the way to December 2008, pardon me. And so the jury ordered InMusic to pay $4.6 million to Roland as compensation for the infringement. Now, apparently, there was a settlement between these two companies that took place back in 2019. However, due to InMusic apparently not meeting those requirements and those terms, Roland went back to court in February of 2020 to kind of like reinforce that, like, hey, you're not paying what you need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that you are, adhering to these terms that we agreed upon. And so during that time frame, this ruling that took place, it was decided that Roland would receive 2.7 million for compensation for lost profits and 1.9 million in royalties. Interesting. So yeah, that is what took place on that end. Also important to know that the other side of this issue is that InMusic filed a counterclaim back in 2017 for Roland, or against Roland, because it's asserted that Roland has infringed on three of Alesis or InMusic's patents. And so the patents in question are Roland's PD 140D as a digital snare, the VH-13 MG hi-hat controller, and the KD A22 acoustic kick. And that case is still ongoing. So it's interesting how these things come about. On one end, you have Roland that has apparently won its court case suing InMusic for patent infringement. And yet, on the other hand, InMusic or Alesis is also suing Roland for patent infringement on some of these devices that it has created, the digital snare, the hi-hat controller, and the acoustic kit. And so during that time, InMusic also tried to get a restraining order to keep Roland from releasing some of those profits. That did not go on as successful. Also interesting to note is that individual by the name of Timothy Root, who was a former Roland executive and also the global product manager of Alesis drums, was at InMusic and worked for that company from 2015 to 2021. And although they're saying that, you know, this individual Root had no involvement with patent infringement and the situation that went on from there, I mean, it's quite possible that these things come about. You have people that work in different companies that, you know, from time to time may in fact share ideas and whatnot, and it could be an issue. Although they're saying here, you know, apparently you did not need to have access to, you know, insider information to their intellectual property, and you could look at, you know, the symbols and whatnot and see how they were triggered and how they worked. You know, you never can tell with these things. It's good to see that Roland is getting paid if it's in fact what's supposed to happen. Like if there was a real issue with infringement. On the other end, I would be curious to see how the situation rolls out for InMusic in terms of the 3 patents that they're going into court for. Now again, it's important to know, you know, there are differences again when we're talking about a patent versus copyright and so forth, and what protects what and all that good jazz. So with a copyright claim or copyright in general, copyrights basically they protect books, articles, plays, films, and photos, artwork, architecture, software, and so forth. These are for authors, artists, architects, and creative professionals. And the stipulation with protecting a copyright or registering a copyright is that it must be an actual piece of work, tangible work. An idea cannot be registered. So, you know, telling somebody, oh, I got this crazy concept, yada, 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 woo, 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 in and of itself is not sufficient to be a copyright claim. Like it has to be something tangible. If I tell you about a chord progression in the key of E minor, but I don't do anything with it, even if I say I got this idea for something that's 80 BPM in the key of E minor, that's not enough to say, hey, that's something that's going to be registered or should be registered. Now you have to actually have a tangible piece of work. But if I have a song that's 80 BPM and in the key of E minor and has all these elements, and I have worked that out into a tangible piece of work, then that would be different. And if somebody in fact stole or sampled that piece of work without, you know, getting permission, then you'll have problems. But that's the difference with the copyright in that respect and its limitations. Now, or pardon me, the dynamics of a copyright. Now, when you get into a patent is a little bit different. A patent protects an invention, including machines, manufactured goods, the process or certain processes, and chemical formulas. And so those are a little bit different. These are for inventors, and the benefit is it prevents other folks from making or using your invention without your permission. So that's a utility patent. And then here we have a design patent. A design patent protects how your product looks and is also for inventors and designers. And the benefit is it prevents, again, others from making or using or selling your design without your permission. The difference is a design patent only lasts 15 years and cannot be renewed. A utility patent lasts for about 20 years and cannot be renewed. So what does all of that mean for those of us who make beats and, you know, are aspiring producers or are in fact actual producers? Really nothing. Really nothing. Unless you are, you know, someone who plays the drums and you are instrumentalist, then it impacts you more specifically because products, pardon me, such as the Strike Pro. If you were someone that was interested in buying this product from Alesis, you may in fact be impacted, from future sales. I don't know how they'll work that out. Uh, it seems that for right now, the immediate action is for InMusic to pay Roland $4.6 million. A nice little chunk of change, but there's nothing that says, like, at least from this article, that Alesis must discontinue the distribution of their product. They just have to pay 4.6 million, which is a nice chunk of change. On the other hand, so there might be some issues down the road later on in terms of the designs of these products, but if for the average beat maker that's not using instruments to make their music, or is not doing live instrumentation or playing in a band and things of that nature, this will not have an impact to you at all, generally speaking. Because again, this is about the use of an equipment, and this is contention over who came out with the design first, who designed this instrument and the look thereof and its behavior and so forth and how it interacts. This is more than just stealing a drum kit or using a drum kit. That's not even what's in question here. So if you're someone who is thinking about making a drum kit or a sample library, and you heard about this case, it doesn't impact you per se. Again, I'll make that clear. If you were someone who was thinking about making a sample pack, a sample based library, yada yada yada, this case doesn't impact you at all, because we're talking about the infringement of a patent as opposed to the infringement of a copyright. So, go ahead and build those sample libraries, build those products from the ground up, make something great, and sell. Now, on the other hand, if you are making sample kits and you are using the intellectual property of someone else, then that's a different story. But this case specifically, and the aftermath of this case, does not impact you on that end. This is something different. This is, again, if you look at the picture, the design of this snare drum and how it's built, and apparently some concepts and ideas were borrowed, exchanged, hijacked, or whatever. So totally different deal. So yeah, man, let me know in the chat what you think. I know I usually don't cover these type of topics. Sometimes I do, but I usually stick to the VST reviews. But I just thought this was something to take a look at. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the chat. Thank you for watching this video. Love to hear from you. I'm Tim Keys. I'm out. Peace.